Sweeping changes across Singapore's constituencies after a committee reviewing electoral boundaries released its report today. It sets the stage for the country's general election later this year. 97 parliamentary seats are set to be contested, up from the current 93. In total, there will be 18 Group Representation Constituencies and 15 Single Member Constituencies. That's 2 more constituencies than at the last election in 2020. Now, the Electoral Boundaries Review Committee says the changes were made due to significant growth in the number of electors. About 2.7 million people have been registered to vote, around 100,000 voters more than in 2020. The committee says this growth has not been evenly distributed across the electoral divisions. Due to population shifts and new housing developments, some constituencies have seen higher growth than others. They include the current Pasir Ris Punggol, Sembawang and Tampines GRCs. Hong Kong North and Potong Pasir SMCs have also seen significant growth in voter numbers. Jeraldine with the details.
With the changes, there will now be 15 SMCs, up from the previous 14. 6 are newly formed, while 5 others will be absorbed into other constituencies. A new Sembawang West SMC will be carved out of the current Sembawang GRC, and a new Tampines Changkat SMC will be drawn out from Tampines GRC, given the population growth in those 2 areas. There will also be a new Jalan Kayu SMC carved out to reduce the size of Ang Mo Kio GRC. Other new SMCs include Bukit Gombak, Jurong Central and Queenstown. Meanwhile, it's goodbye to Hong Kong North, Bukit Batok, MacPherson, Punggol West and Yu Hua SMCs. Boundaries for Bukit Panjang, Hougang, Marymount and Pioneer remain unchanged. Each SMC will have between 22,000 and 33,000 voters. Bukit Panjang has the most number of electors and Kebun Baru the least. Radin Mas will see its number of electors increase by about 2,500, while the voter pool in Mountbatten will shrink by about 5,000. The boundaries on the east and west sides of the island have been significantly redrawn, driven by consequential population growth. New housing developments in those areas have boosted resident numbers even more. The result? Revisions to the boundaries to balance voter numbers and address the broader impact on the national electoral map. And so the West Coast, East Coast and Marine Parade constituencies, which were among the most fiercely contested in the last general election, will experience major electoral boundary changes for the upcoming polls. Aslam Shah explains.
A question of maintaining balance and distribution. For the EBRC committee, this involved examining factors that affect constituency representation. Pasir Ris Punggol in the northeast has seen the largest increase in electors since the last poll and is expected to keep growing with new housing. As a consequence, the constituency will be split. Its Punggol estates will be carved out and merged with the existing Punggol West SMC to form a new 4-member Punggol GRC, which EBRC said would also better reflect the identity of the estates in Punggol town. The remaining Pasir Ris polling districts will be merged with adjacent ones from East Coast GRC, comprising Loyang and Flora estates, to form 4-member Pasir Ris Changi GRC. All this will set off a string of consequence changes affecting East Coast GRC, Marine Parade GRC and nearby SMCs. This becomes the new East Coast GRC, stretching from East Coast Park to Changi with a population of almost 123,000. East Coast GRC will remain a 5-member GRC despite losing some districts by taking in adjacent districts from Marine Parade GRC, including the Chai Chee HDB estates and the Siglap private estates. Marine Parade GRC will undergo significant changes in the next election. As part of its boundary changes, it will get polling districts from Potong Pasir SMC. It will also absorb all of MacPherson SMC and part of Mountbatten SMC. The constituency will be renamed Marine Parade Braddell Heights GRC to reflect local identities. The new GRC will have just over 130,000 electors, down from some 139,000 in 2020.
On the other side of the island, housing developments in the western part of Singapore, including right here in Tengah, have and will continue to grow. Now, those population shifts also mean higher voter numbers. This has seen the EBRC recommending a split to Hong Kong North SMC. This has meant changes to nearby GRCs of Choa Chu Kang, Jurong and West Coast. And so some districts will merge with part of Jurong GRC to form the new double-barrel Jurong East Bukit Batok GRC.
The Tengah estate in Hong Kong North SMC will be absorbed into Choa Chu Kang GRC, which, to remain a 4-member GRC, will have its Bukit Gombak and Hillview estates carved out to form Bukit Gombak SMC. In order to maintain the new Jurong East Bukit Batok GRC as a 5 MP GRC, some polling districts will form a new Jurong Central SMC. Some estates in Jurong West and Taman Jurong will merge with the adjacent West Coast GRC. It will be renamed as West Coast Jurong West GRC and will have a population of almost 160,000. This GRC will also lose estates to Harbourfront and Sentosa, which will go to Radin Mas SMC. The existing West Coast GRC will also lose Dover and Telok Blangah estates to Tanjong Pagar GRC.
To recap, there will now be a total of 18 GRCs, up from 17 previously. The average size of each GRC will be 4.56, slightly lower than in the 2020 general election. 8 are 4-member GRCs, including the newly formed Punggol GRC and Pasir Ris Changi GRC. No boundary changes for Bishan Toa Payoh, Jalan Besar, Marsiling UT and Sengkang, while Holland Bukit Timah will take in a polling district that's currently under Jurong. Each GRC will have between 93,000 and 126,000 voters. There will be 10 5-member GRCs, including the new Jurong East Bukit Batok and West Coast Jurong West GRCs. No changes to Nee Soon. Each GRC will have between 131,000 and 161,000 voters. Now, you may notice that more GRCs are now adopting double-barreled names, such as Marine Parade Braddell Heights. The committee says this is to better reflect the identities of the geographical areas covered in the GRCs.